Today is our final passage about fasting, and we turn again to the book of Acts to chapter 14, verses 19 through 23. And this is a passage where we will hear about fasting connected with the appointing of leaders, but also its importance with something even deeper. But Jews came there from Antioch and Iconium and won over the crowds. Then they stoned Paul and dragged him out of the city, supposing that he was dead. But when the disciples surrounded him, he got up and went into the city. The next day he went on with Barnabas to Derbe. After they had proclaimed the good news to that city and had made many disciples, they returned to Lystra, then on to Iconium and Antioch. There they strengthened the souls of the disciples and encouraged them to continue in the faith, saying, "It is through many persecutions that we must enter the kingdom of God." And after they had appointed elders for them in each church, with prayer and fasting, they entrusted them to the Lord, in whom they had come to believe. There's two significant things in this passage that I want to highlight for you for today. First of all is the latter one, which is the practice of praying and fasting before determining who should be the elders, who should serve as the elders in the churches. And I don't know how much our nominating team has practiced prayer and fasting before determining who should serve at BBC. But Paul would say, hey, this is a practice that as leaders we should be engaging in before we ask people to take on a significant leadership role. Are we praying and fasting and asking for God's confirmation or guidance or direction in choosing leaders? The second thing that I want to note is what Paul says about persecutions. It is through many persecutions that we must enter the kingdom of God. You know, there's a lot of what's called prosperity gospel teaching out there. It makes a lot of high-profile people rich. And it's the idea that, you believe in God because then you're going to be healthy and wealthy and everything's going to be wonderful and rosy in your life. Well, this is a completely false message and has nothing to do with biblical Christianity. Paul is very straightforward that being a genuine and authentic Christian may very well involve persecutions. And we hear about that not just here in Acts chapter 14. It's something we read about in 2 Timothy chapter 3 and 2 Corinthians chapter 4, in the Gospel of Matthew and in Romans. That being a Christian does not mean choosing an easy path that makes our life wonderful. It's in fact, as Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount, a narrow gate that we have to enter. And the road is hard that leads to life. And one of the things that fasting enables us to do is to develop our spiritual strength and our spiritual determination. So someone like Paul, who fasted regularly, could be stoned almost to death and then get up and go on serving the Lord. What a tremendous example.